de la Zobel, newly appointed Chief Finance Officer of Ayala Corporation. Mr. Paolo Borromeo, President and CEO of AC Health. Mr. Rene Almendras, President and CEO of Manila Water and AC Infrastructure. Also joining us are our presidents and CEOs of the rest of Ayala's business units and corporate functional leads and other executives. This year's ASM is quite special. If you will recall, in December 2020, we announced leadership transitions as our outgoing CEO, Mr. Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, focuses on his chairmanship role. Friends, please welcome our chairman, Mr. Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ila, for the introduction, and welcome to everyone. It feels a little strange not being able to see all of you in person, but thank you for the time today. If Fernando will allow me just a couple of minutes just to say some opening words and just reflect and say some words about this transition. A couple of words first about 2020. What an extraordinary year it has been. I've said quite a bit, I guess, in my chairman's report at the stockholders meeting. But I still remember at the beginning of the lockdown how surreal the whole situation was, how unusual, and how difficult this whole process was going to be. I don't think ever in our recent history I've seen a situation where everything ground to a halt the way it did. A difficult time, really, for the whole company. But also an extraordinary time. Now when I reflect back on it, this whole ability to reinvent ourselves, to basically band together and look at the situation with new eyes and say, what can we take out of this to make ourselves better, is also unprecedented, I guess, in recent history. And it brought out so much organizational cohesion out of the situation. We started to work far more closely than we've ever done before across the group. We started to reinvent many ways that we did things. And so out of a really negative situation came a massively positive one. And I think one thing I did want to say as I transition out of the CEO job, only because they're all here, is that I absolutely have, Fernando as well, an A-team in the whole Ayala group. Our group executives, everyone who's been involved, everything that has been successful, I guess, in our lives is all in due also to their extraordinary ability to reinvent themselves as well, to work extraordinarily hard, to be massively imaginative, and to be leaders in their own right, in their own areas. And aside from that, everybody pinch hit throughout this whole crisis in extraordinary ways. They worked cross-border, everybody helped each other. And out of that bad situation, and a difficult one, came extraordinary pluses for all of us as an institution. And I have to say, I'm massively grateful to the whole team. They're an extraordinary group of individuals. And on top of that, they all have a great sense of humor, and that got us through most of the difficult days in one way or another. So a massive thank you to all of them, and we are where we are today because of all their tremendous work. The second thing, which is just a reflection on 2020, again, a difficult time, was the extraordinary amount of collaboration that took place in the business community, not only at my level, but at the level of our group Mancom. We picked up phones, we did things together, we helped out, and with the public sector as well. Again, quite unprecedented in recent history, and out of a negative period of time came this extraordinary capacity for the private sector to really work in collaboration, which I think will stay post the pandemic and is a massive plus out of this whole situation. And so you kind of look at a negative situation, a massive change in the status quo. And then you get all these positive things coming out of it. And I think it's those positive elements that I'd like to hang on to. And it really just shows that out of a difficult situation, there are so many positive ways to come out of it. And I'm proud of the fact that within the Ayala Group, we've come out of this, I like to think, stronger, more united, more collaborative, and more engaged and more imaginative in the way we look at our customers and the whole situation around us. As we move on to succession, it's been happening across the group. We have TG and Bong here. We have also Albert, and and TG, who are going through their own transitions. I just wanted to say that change and succession are very much a part of the culture of the Ayala Group. It's been done throughout history. We're proud to continue that tradition, Fernando and I. It has led to reinvention, and of course, I like to think has also led to longevity in the institution. We take it seriously, and to a certain extent, it's been happening across the group, and I'm no different in that sense. 26 years has been a great run. Perhaps it's even been too long, I would maybe argue, in a leadership position. And I'm just delighted to be passing on the reins to Fernando. I'd like to say just a couple of words about Fernando, which I didn't have a chance to say at the meeting itself. I think few people realize that although I take and carry the CEO title, Fernando has direct responsibility for at least half of our portfolio and has had it since the very beginning when I took over. He's run these operations directly, has been responsible for them, and has led them, and I've just taken care of the other half. And anything that I had to do together as CEO and make a decision on it, the holding company, Fernando's been there with me. So to all intents and purposes, Fernando's been there on the front line from the very beginning. He's dealt with some of the most difficult, intractable problems that we've had and solved them. And he's also leading right now many of the growth components of the business. He's provided leadership on a number of different fronts. So this transition of leadership should be a very smooth one, and it's going to a person who's massively seasoned and has dealt with both the most difficult and the most positive parts of Ayala together. He knows that I'll be there to help out in any way that I can whenever he needs it, and I wanted to congratulate him also personally for his taking on this responsibility. He'll have his own ideas, as he will express, and that's part and parcel of the transition and the reinvention. And I leave it to him to explain that component of it. But finally, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you. Many members of the press and the investor community I've gotten to know over the years. We built trust in each other, and thank you also for the trust that you've shown to Ayala over the years. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. And as I transition myself, it's not like I'm disappearing into the sunset. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for me also to refocus on areas that I have not had a chance to refocus on. Fernando and I have had a chance to discuss it. As you move up in any organization, you lose a little bit of touch with connecting with key constituents. I think as I moved up, I began to lose sight of many of our large customers or small customers, as I had to worry about many of the components of leadership. I'd like to go back to revisiting them and reconnecting with them. Employees as well. I meet with all the senior ones, but I lose touch with middle management and with the junior officers coming in. This is a chance as well for me to reconnect, with all of them and get to know them again. Visit projects, get to see people on the line. And that's going to be an absolute pleasure for me. We have more projects now than we've ever had in our history across the country, in different countries abroad. It's so difficult to get to all of them when you're a CEO. And so this will give me a chance to reconnect with foreign partners, see operations, connect with middle-level executives, and I really look forward to it. And finally, to have a little bit of breadth of mind. The world is changing so fast. Things keep shifting, changing. The chance to catch up on information, meet people who can give you new ways of looking at things, keep reading, keep understanding the shifts that are happening. I'll have much more bandwidth now to do that and hopefully contribute that as well to Fernando's leadership at this point in time. So I think these are all exciting changes. We're excited, but a big congratulations to Fernando as well, highly deserved. And I pass the baton on to him and for him to now touch base with all of you. But again, thank you all for your trust over this period of time, and look forward to staying connected but in a different way as we move on. Thank you for that opportunity, Ila.
Thank you, Jaza. Driving Ayala's bounce back as our country recovers from this pandemic and boldly charting our way forward into the new decade, please welcome Ayala Corporation President and CEO, Mr. Fernando Zobel de Ayala.
Thank you, Ila. And Jaime, thank you for your very kind words. I think you deserve the credit for planning succession so carefully and so much time in advance. I think we're a fairly unique group in that respect among the corporates in the Philippines. So thank you for that. A pleasant morning to members of the press and analysts who are attending today's briefing. Before we open the floor to questions, let me provide a brief overview of the Ayala Group's overall mood for the year, although some of you already heard it in some of my remarks earlier. As I have touched on earlier, we're cautiously optimistic about the business environment and are preparing for a post-pandemic economic recovery. We will work with government for a successful implementation of the country's vaccination program that would pave the way for a revival of the economy. We believe that private sector investments play a crucial role in revitalizing the economy. With a healthy balance sheet and strong franchises in our portfolio, we're doing our part towards this end by continuing to execute on our investment pipeline. This year, the Ayala Group has programmed 196 billion pesos in combined capital expenditure. The bulk of this amount is allocated to Ayala Land primarily to fund its residential launches and Globe to support its network infrastructure rollout. AC Energy also continues to execute its project pipeline to expand its renewable energy portfolio. Meanwhile, BPI will continue to capitalize on the momentum it has built around its digital channels, including working more closely with GCash to extract further synergies between the two leading financial mobile apps in the country. We're also looking to establish a more meaningful presence in healthcare and logistics in the coming years. I will let Paolo and Rene talk about their plans for these businesses in greater detail. Overall, we will continue to employ a highly disciplined approach towards capital expenditures to ensure ample capacity to allow us to pursue opportunities as they arise while maintaining a healthy balance sheet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now call on AC Health President and CEO and Ayala Corporation Strategy and Development Head, Paolo Borromeo, to elaborate on opportunities in the healthcare sector. Paolo?
Thank you, Ila, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and FCA. Before anything, I just wanted to reiterate our thanks and just our extreme gratefulness to all of our medical frontliners, our economic frontliners, and our essential workers who even in these tough times now continue day in, day out going to their places of work. We have tens of thousands of essential workers who we just are very grateful for and thank. We also, of course, condone with the families of some of our colleagues who unfortunately have passed away because of this crisis. But I guess on that note, we continue to be delighted about the foundation that we're building in healthcare. I just wanted to highlight a few things. First, last year, we took advantage of the pandemic to start laying down a stronger set of pillars now for AC Health. First, we completed the integration of our family and multi-specialty and corporate clinics under one brand, which we now call Healthway. Today, Healthway continues to serve hundreds of thousands of patients, both for COVID screening and, of course, for non-COVID requirements. Second, last year, we also finalized our partnership for our specialty cancer hospital. The cancer hospital will be located in the food terminal in Taguig, in our Arca South development. I'm excited about the opportunities in the oncology space. Groundbreaking is scheduled for this year, and we hope to complete the project in 2023. But again, as an indication of our willingness to deploy capital, even in these tough times, we're very excited about the cancer hospital. This year, happy to say that we acquired a controlling stake in our Qualimed network of hospitals. These include 4 hospitals: Qualimed Panawan, Batangas, Qualimed San Jose del Monte in Bulacan, Qualimed Iloilo, and of course Qualimed Santa Rosa in Laguna. All of these hospitals today have of course been actively involved in the fight against COVID. Proud to say that we answered the call of government and upgraded our COVID capacity across all of these 4 hospitals. Our combined COVID capacity is 67% of all of our total beds. No? And again, in response to the call of government, we upgraded our regular COVID beds and our ICU COVID beds and increased it by nearly half. Lastly, also wanted to highlight our partnership with Globe's 917 Ventures in the digital health space. Last year, we launched Health Now, which is an all-in-one healthcare app, which includes digital health consultations, online medicine, and scheduling and laboratory tests. The Health Now has seen significant growth over the last few weeks and months. Of course, we're using it as our vaccination platform as well, but we anticipate a lot of usage and utility with Health Now moving forward, and we're very excited about the space. Moving forward, we're extremely excited about what we built, what we're trying to build. We feel we have an ecosystem of different healthcare assets across pharmacies, clinics, hospitals, and digital health that extract and create synergies for one another and provide better care for our communities and the patients that we serve. Thank you very much, Ila.
Thank you, Paulo. Our AC Infrastructure and Manila Water President and CEO Rene Almendras will now share his views on our logistics business. Rene?
Thank you. Thank you, Ila, and good morning to all of you. It's nice to see old friends in media, and I'm really happy because today I'm not going to be talking about Manila Water. We're going to talk about something even more exciting, which is logistics. Not that I don't want to talk about Manila Water. I'll also answer questions to that effect. No, but really, let me start by telling you a little bit about how successful Entrego has been. 2020, we saw Entrego volumes go up by 70%. The original pre-COVID revenue targets, we almost made it. We missed it very slightly, despite several months of extreme lockdown, which prevented any movements and deliveries. We achieved significant improvements because of operational and system enhancements. Our service efficiency is significantly improved. I'll explain this so that just to make sure you appreciate why we feel very strongly that the logistics industry is ripe for transformation or disruption. We were able to increase the number of deliveries per rider. We were able to increase throughput from from hubs to riders, all using technology, data analytics, and what have you. So all of this contributed to a significant increase in our margins. In 2020, we saw the most number of new clients onboarded. It's not easy to onboard a client into the system because of the highly digitized norm that we have. Some of the clients are not as API ready as we do want them to be, but in 2020, the pandemic really created an impetus for everybody to suddenly say, hey, I need to go out there. I should be able to sell my goods and move them without having to go through the stores. And that's why we saw a significant increase in the number of customers. With the success of Entrego last year, well, even before the middle of the year, we had already planned that we would like to expand the logistics business. So we engaged one of the leading global consultancy firms who has very, very good experience on global logistics and even in China to do a full-blown study for us in the Philippines. This study showed that, unfortunately for us, the Philippine logistics is a laggard. We have been left behind as far as the measure called Global Logistics Performance Index. It is a rating and ranking system that considers cost of logistics, timeliness, visibility, and all. And unfortunately, we're kind of at the last place compared to even our neighbors' comparable economies. So we always felt that, hey, there is room to bring this up. And it's not like we're going to reinvent the wheel because all of this transformation is already happening in other countries all over the world. So the same study identified for us opportunities within a very diverse industry, and we saw opportunities to integrate a very fragmented logistics Philippine landscape. Also highlighted were particular areas, or let's say white spots, where we felt we could actually make a difference to help improve the quality of service. When Entrego started delivering credit cards, insurance policies, and other premium documents,
and we treated it the way we would treat an e-commerce delivery. The customer, the corporates that were sending these suddenly felt, hey, it is possible to have 24 by 7 visibility, knowing exactly where is this credit card being delivered. When a customer calls, where is my insurance policy? The company can literally say it will be there within an hour or two, or within today, or it's on its way. So this kind of transformative technology that we were able to bring to something so traditional really created opportunities for us. We also felt that by improving on some of these white spaces, we're actually going to be helping the other companies within the Ayala Group with their own logistics needs and up the service standard, up the timeliness, the visibility. Entrego has had a marvelous year working with BPI and with GCash. One of the biggest problems in the Philippines is COD. People still don't want to pay ahead. They really want to see the item before they pay it, and so now we have links with GCash and with BPI that allows us to, instead of take cash upon delivery, we take a credit from a BPI account or a GCash payment and so forth. We are right now so very excited because the pandemic also allowed us many opportunities. We are now looking at and interacting at several opportunities across the whole logistics field. Volumes continue to grow, things become exciting. Customers are telling us their volume expectation for this year is again going to be very good numbers. So we're all gearing up and preparing for those opportunities. So I'll give it back to you. Thank you, Ila.
Thank you, Rene. We now open the floor for questions from the press. I see questions coming in now. In the interest of time, only questions relevant to our topic will be raised for a response. But let's start with a send-in question from Krista Montealegre of Merger Market. Krista has 4 questions. The first one, can you elaborate on the plan to be more proactive in recycling capital to support your growth strategy? What businesses are ripe for value realization initiatives? LCA, would you like to respond, please?
Yeah, I'd rather not respond to something that is prospective, although we have several things that we're planning. But perhaps just so that you can get a better understanding of what we mean by that, perhaps I could talk about some recent transactions that involved recycling. So the IPO of Ayala Lands, a REIT, is an example of that. Bringing in GIC into ASM is another example of that. The entry of the Razon Group, once they finish all their regulatory approvals as a strategic partner in Manila Water, is an example of that. The IPO of IMI's Via Optronics at the New York Stock Exchange is another example of that. And the entry of Bowwave as a new investor in Mint, which operates GCash, would be another example. So this will be happening across the group. We will constantly be looking for some of these opportunities for liquidity and for the possibility for us to reinvest that money into high growth areas.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the second question is also addressed to you. What new opportunities are you seeing in the post-COVID world where you would want the Ayala Group to have meaningful participation?
Well, I think we, as I mentioned in my presentation, for the time being, we've gone through a period of quite a bit of expansion into new industries. Jaime led that for a good period of time, and I think we're in very relevant industries with strong potential. They've fared out very well during the crisis. And so the focus will be predominantly in what we currently have and expanding within those specific areas of business. So we will continue to support Ayala Land, BPI Globe, and AC Energy as our core businesses. And as you've heard, we will, of course, be giving great support to logistics and healthcare as the newer businesses. But we'd also like to emphasize our most successful digital businesses. And right now, the two that really stand out among them is really BPI's digital channels in its leadership as the digital bank. And of course, GCash has been phenomenally successful also. It is our hope that the two groups can work more closely together and provide more synergies.
Thank you, sir. The third question is for Rene, which he mentioned already in his earlier remarks, but you may want to summarize again. What is the long-term vision for Entrego and the logistics business to support the rise of the digital economy? What are your plans to grow the business? Rene?
Oh, right now we are in discussions with many logistics, family-owned logistics businesses that through the years have proven their worth in the industry. We are hoping to partner with some of them so that we can effect the transformation or the disruption that we would like to happen. I think very clearly the goal has set a target. We want to be a major player in the logistics field in certain spaces which we believe we can really make a difference in. I wish I can be more precise, but unfortunately, we're not the only ones going around looking for these opportunities. We are looking forward to making these very good, substantial announcements into the logistics industry as they happen. What I can tell you is there are certain segments that are clearly just in need of so much growth capital and technology and transformative initiatives that can really make things happen. I mean, it's not nice that uh, logistics cost in the Philippines is actually more expensive than some of the more developed countries. I mean, something like moving an item from one place to the other in the Philippines is almost double the cost as that of the same thing being moved in another country within Southeast Asia. So we really feel that there is great opportunities that we can bring to these areas that we want to get into. Now, mind you, we're not going to be all over the place. We have a very deliberate plan on which areas of logistics we want to go into. But we are going to be very synergistic. You're probably wondering, are we in AC Logistics going to be building warehouses and all that? No, that's Ayala Land that will do that for us. But we will probably be offering to operate warehouse operating systems or warehouse management systems and handle what happens within all of these areas. We will be working closely with Ali's own logistics initiative. Ali's logistics platform is a real estate platform, building facilities in certain places. Ours is making sure that all these facilities interact with deliveries, with transport to create an efficient ecosystem that will be able to at least come close to already the global standards that we are seeing all over the place.
Thank you, Rene. The next question is for Minette Navarrete of Kickstart. Minette, how is the deployment of Ayala's venture fund?
Well, thank you for the question, Krista. The active fund started to deploy capital last year, and it might interest the audience to know that our first three investments are in support of high impact entrepreneurship via the Endeavor Catalyst Fund, digital education via an investment in Skillshare, and widespread communications via data transmission using free space optics via an investment in Transcelestial Technologies. So in 2021, we continue to assess potential investments and we do look forward to more investments this year.
Thank you, Minette. Let's now take on the questions from the Q&A below your screens. From Iris, hi, good morning to who will be the new COO? FZA, would you like to take that on?
That position is not being filled, so it's vacant.
Thank you. Two questions coming from Doris. The first one, kindly give us your insights on planned medium-term investments in healthcare sector. How will PhilHealth's constraints in settling liabilities affect future investments? Paolo, would you like to take that on, please?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Doris. As I mentioned earlier, I think our medium-term plan for health is solid. We will leverage the hospitals and the clinics that we now have as a foundation for growth. So we will ensure that they are as relevant as possible through this crisis, both in treating COVID patients and as well as being staff and sites for the vaccination services that we will provide. And as our chairman mentioned earlier, we are planning to inoculate up to 1 million doses, no, throughout the remaining part of the year. On the PhilHealth point, I just wanted to point out that there's been a lot of work from the government over the last 2 or 3 weeks in consultation with the private sector. So PhilHealth is currently reimbursing a big proportion of all outstanding claims by both private and public hospitals. And delighted to say that on our end, for instance, we have a couple of 100 million outstanding from PhilHealth, and they have earmarked to pay immediately up to 60% of that. And in fact, we have already received reimbursement for half of that 60%. And that's not just for us, that's for all private sector hospital groups and all public sector hospitals. No? So it's a great initiative from the government, and I think it will help create more funding and more liquidity for the hospitals as we upgrade our beds, as we hire more nurses and staff to be able to treat more patients.
Thank you, Paolo. The next one is also from Doris. Eric, this is for you. Are there new overseas markets planned for AC Energy or any other businesses within the group, please? Eric?
Yes, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, AC Energy plans to expand its presence across Asia Pacific. We're now in 4 markets outside the Philippines. That's Indonesia, Vietnam, Australia, and India. We plan to bulk up further in these markets. Of course, we do have significant investment plans in renewables in the Philippines. But having said that, as you know, one of our key strategies is to work closely with our partners. One important type of partnership that we have are these regional developers who have expansive development assets or portfolio across Asia Pacific. So we continually explore opportunities in new markets beyond the 4 international markets that we're present right now. There's too many to mention in terms of the potential markets. We would rather just identify them when we have a real deal already. But rest assured that we are actively in discussions in terms of further expansion into new markets. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Eric. The next one is for Jaza. Sir, this is from Iris. How would you like your term to be remembered by? What would you be your specific legacy?
Hi, Iris. Oops. Yeah, I hope you can hear me. Hi, Iris. Thanks very much for the question. It's been a long period of time and a lot of changes, but maybe if I were to address that, maybe number one, that I've had a chance to create a value structure across all our leadership teams. Everybody leads in different ways in our group. There is no one form of leadership, but I like to think that we all think the same way about how we do things and what is important to us. So a value structure that is overarching across the group, and it's a value structure that is comfortable with change. It's a value structure that has wanted to make the Ayala Group more inclusive. In many ways, we're far more inclusive now than when I started in the company. A value structure that values innovation and is comfortable with change and is comfortable with disruption. A value structure that likes to keep itself relevant to the changing times and willing to adjust. And finally, a value structure that likes to contribute to the national development agenda. I think if I were to look at that legacy, those would be the things that I'm kind of proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For more information on that one, it's in our PR as well. So you may refer to our press release, which we sent to you earlier as well. The next one is from Doris. Maybe Paolo can take this on. Any of our executives been vaccinated according to priority grouping by the government? Vaccinated against COVID-19. Paolo?
Well, we're still prioritizing our healthcare workers and our seniors around the group. These are all through LGU initiatives, so anyone who's been vaccinated would have been done through the LGU. But happy to say that 2,000 of our healthcare workers have been vaccinated, and the rest of our population we look forward to vaccinating when our private sector supply comes, hopefully sometime in June.
Thank you.
Ila, I'd like to add that I have not been vaccinated yet. I'm waiting for my turn. I think it's going to be the local government units may come ahead of our own supply. So hopefully sometime in May, I've been told. But
Yeah, I haven't been vaccinated either yet.
yeah, so we're just waiting for our turn.
Okay, good. Thank you. From Doris again. After the recent equity deals of Manila Water and AC Energy, are there other businesses that AC would like to bring in strategic partners and investors to? Maybe this is for Eric.
Yeah, Ila, we always look for opportunities when the opportunities are ripe. At this point, we don't have any imminent plans for that. No, but we obviously always look out for the right time and opportunities.
Okay, great. Eric, kindly stay on. The next one is from Iris, and this is with regards to our Myanmar investments. Given the current situation, what's our plan on Myanmar investments?
Well, I can speak for the AC Energy investments. Particularly, we do have a modest invested capital of about a little over $20 million. Obviously, we need to wait and see how things evolve in the country. That would be the prudent thing to do. But if I can also speak on behalf of the Ayala Corp's investment on Yoma, we do look at the investment from a long-term perspective. So, while there is obviously a concern on a lot of issues in the country, we remain steadfast in our long-term outlook, and we will just continue to work with our partners to make sure that our investments are prudently managed, and then we will take the appropriate actions as the developments evolve.
Thank you, Eric. The next one is from Warren de Guzman from ABS. What is the war chest or budget for your logistics plans? Rene?
Warren, can I be corny and say several billion? If Eric, Paolo, and Albert will allow me, I'd like to acquire about a dozen companies, but probably won't be able to close on all of those. But it is going to be, it's not going to be a small amount for sure. It's going to be bigger than Entrega, to be exact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the last one from Cliff, Benson Cliff is from Nikkei Asia. Cliff, what is your assessment on the situation? It's the same, no, in Myanmar, and what has been the impact of the crisis on your investments there? I think, and how do you intend to move forward given the current situation? I think this was covered by Eric. Unless Paolo, do you have anything additional?
I just want to say first, Jaime Alfonso leads the team that
Yes.
oversees our investment in Myanmar. We remain very close to our partners. We are constantly in touch with our partners to assess the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground is extremely sensitive. And of course, there are security and safety concerns for the employees of our partners. Obviously, projects and businesses stopped to a halt. But at this stage, as Eric said, I think the most prudent thing to do is to wait and see and ensure the safety of our partners' employees. No? But it's a very delicate and sensitive situation, and we continue to monitor it on a daily basis with our partners.
Thank you, Paolo.
Ila,
Yes,
if
sir.
I can just add a little bit of color to the logistics question, so I guess Rene will also have a firmer idea of what the committee of myself, Paolo, Albert, and FZA are thinking about. Typically, if you look at health, for example, which is one of our emerging businesses, we have committed and deployed about 10 to 11 billion pesos into the platform. Now, that includes the committed capital. So we always believe that when we invest in a business, we want it to reach a certain scale, so that it would be more impactful, and that's something that could potentially move the needle for the Ayala Group. We're hoping that logistics will get to that kind of scale as well. It's good to build up a business that would get to this type of size. We've invested so far, I think, approximately a billion pesos in Entrego. So hopefully, as Rene said, it's going to be the investments we're looking at would be much larger than that. Hopefully, to give you an order of magnitude, we wouldn't mind getting to at least where health is today, and then the focus at that point will really be to execute and to really scale up the business platform. So just yeah.
If I may ask a favor, Warren, please don't publish that because you will make my life harder with the negotiations. Price goes up when you...
Okay, thank you. So Warren, I'll follow up on you. Okay, so I think that was the last question for today. So thank you, everyone. This ends our Q&A segment. Let's have a quick photo op for our media friends. Feel free to take some photos for your stories, and we can send some of the photos as well to you later on. So for the first panel, we will have our president, our chairman, along with our president and CEO. Hello, guys. Can you take it on? Yeah. Thank you. For the second panel now, we will have everyone joining JAZA and FCA. So all CEOs and business unit presidents and corporate functional officers and other executives. We will have 3 panels. Perfect. It's a wrap. Thank you for attending, everyone, on today's media briefing. Stay safe and keep well. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Speak to you guys soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ila. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.